Hello and welcome to Hexed Encounter. My name's Joe. In this video we will be continuing our playthrough of the 1798 campaign from the game Field Commander Napoleon. It is the Egyptian Adventure. This game is from Dan Versen Games, was designed by Dan Versen. It's been around for a while, but this is my game of the month here. We're doing a November with the Emperor, kind of Napoleonic theme here. And yeah, so I did the 1796 campaign. And now I'm doing 1798. This is part 2. And part 1 is on the site. I will add a card so that you can find it if you have not watched that one yet, because we're going to pick it up midstream here with the December 1798 turn. So one thing I did mess up or forget about was that I was supposed to get this guy right here, Nautique, in Alexandria last month, and I forgot. So he'll join Rainier, along with a couple of recruits and a garrison in Alexandria. We have Desai in Cairo, Caffarelli in El Arish, and the rest of my army is in Gaza. And so the first thing we do, we're going to just get right underway here. We already advanced our turn counter to December. We'll do our moves. So here in Jaffa, they've got two units, 2 divisions. That's what the unit scale for this particular campaign is. 2 infantry here. They've got a fortification and 2 garrisons. So the other thing is, once I go into Jaffa, they're going to unlock a bunch of Ottoman reinforcements here. All of these guys will appear in Mount Tabor, right here. But we only have Jaffa and Accra as remaining objectives to take. We also, once we hit May of 1799, we have over here on the board, there is some die rolls that will start in May of 1799, where we have basically a 20% chance of these forces arriving in Alexandria, more Ottoman forces. And it jumps to 40%, 70%, and basically they're guaranteed to arrive in August of 1799, which is actually the last turn. So what we're going to do here is we are going to advance. We have 4 units here, I believe, 5 units here. We're going to move into Jaffa. I could leave 1. I don't think I want to, though. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only 4 units, actually. Yeah, so we're gonna move him here. And I roll a die because we have to check here for harsh conditions. If we move any forces, you have to roll a die. If the roll is equal to or less than the number of French forces you moved, you inflict a hit to one of your moved forces. And if we do a forced march, then we would roll twice. So we are going to roll. We got a 9, that's higher than 4, so that one is good. I'm also going to move Caffarelli to Gaza, and I'll roll 1 die for him and get a 5, so that's good. We're going to also move Desai to Bitter Lake, and we will roll again, and we got a 10, so he's good as well. And then I'm going to actually take Nautique here, and I'm going to move him to Cairo, and we'll roll 1 die there. And we get a 4. And the reason I do this is to occupy the various objectives so that I can get my 1 supply. Because you get 1 supply for every objective you hold. If you don't have forces in a region, you're not holding it. So we are going to make sure that we have units in all the areas, or as many as I can have them in. I do want to maintain some forces in Alexandria for the purposes of not having to try and rush people back, and because if we lose Alexandria, we automatically lose the campaign. All right, so we have a battle to resolve, so we're going to jump over to the battle map and resolve that right now. Here on the battle map, first thing we are to do is to roll for the Fog of War. So I do have 2 scouts, and I can spend one of those to re-roll this if I don't like the roll. The enemy only has 1 supply point, so they're not going to get any die roll modifier. We rolled a 3, which gives me another scout. So I'll take it. I mean, 3 scouts. That gives me many opportunities for re-rolls here. And that gives us a 4 turn battle, which is pretty good. That's a good length in my opinion. So we do an envelopment check. They have 5, 10, 14, 16, 19. I have 8, 14, 21, 28. So that is not going to do it. So we'll put Napoleon out there. The determine battle plan quantities. We get 2, they get 2. I get 2 because of Napoleon. If he was not present, I would have 0. They get 2 because that's what the setup for the campaign says. Buy additional French battle plans. I can spend 2 supply points to get an extra battle plan. Then I could actually turn one of those in. Even if I don't buy another one, I could still turn one in for an insight counter. I have not yet used an insight counter. I don't think I'm going to use one for this particular battle, and I'm just going to go with my 2 battle plans. So now we'll place our forces. We'll put Bonn, Kleber. Actually, I've got 4. They're all going to go right here in the approach area. And we're ready to, I already placed the enemy. They don't have a whole lot. These guys are locked into the approach. The fortification always goes in the reserve. And they have 2 mobile units here that go right there. So we will pull our, or rather we'll select our French battle plans. I do like to use the charge from my cavalry. And I will use a flank for Bonn. And we draw for them. They get 2. And they get officers, which gives them a +3 DRM on their activation rolls, which is kind of bad for me. And they get aimed. So that's going to go to Coram here. And we begin. So these 2 guys can't fire because there's nobody adjacent. So we go to here. If line, no roll, infantry attack. Again, they can't attack either. They're not in line, but it doesn't matter because they can't execute this order anyway. Now we go to this guy who's going to get a default one. When there's no enemies within 2, they get an advance order. If column, no roll, so we don't have to roll. So they just advance. Then we'll do our fortification. So he needs a 7 to activate because he's a 4 + 3. And he rolled a 9, so they don't get that either. So that was a pretty non-eventful event, which is good for me. I think I'm going to send. Well, no, we'll do our charge here. So let's roll for activation. He needs an 8 and gets a 10. You got to be kidding. All right. Well, that's not good. So now we'll try Bonn. If column, no roll, so he doesn't need to roll. Advance again, shock 3. So basically this is going to be a hit. Doesn't matter, I'll roll it anyway. He got a 1, which is the best roll you could get. But his number's a 0, so he's going to get reduced, and he has to retreat. Now Bonn gets to attack, so he will attack, and basically he's attacking the same unit, and we need a 7 or less. And we got a 7, so good enough. Kills him off. Now that goes away. This is a little dangerous because he's in line formation. So I'm going to have to do something about that. But first we do our route check. So they now have 2, 7, 12, 16. We still have 7, 14, 28. So we're not at 3 to 1 yet, which is what you need to check for a route. We're not there, so we don't have to worry about it right now. We advance our battle turn. We go to 3. Now we start over. Inside activation, no. Select and place French battle plan. So I'm going to do prepare because I want him to go first. We're going to do an engage. Do an engage. All right. So it's a little bit disappointing because since Dumas failed to activate, he's going to have to move forward. Although I think this means he can go 2. So he goes 1 for the cavalry advance, because cavalry obviously being mounted, they can go a little further than the poor foot soldiers here. So he's going to go 1, 2 and get into this one anyway. But again, he's going to end up being in column anyhow. Oh, I forgot to move these guys up. So they're in column, so they can move up. So they're up here. I forgot to do that. So he's going to go and get up here, and then they can also get up there. I might wait on that for the same reason. Although I guess if this guy, we'll see what happens, and I won't talk too much other strategy because. So they get 2, even though he only has 1 unit. I'll still pull 2. So he gets officers again and aimed again, which means I don't know. I guess I didn't shake that up well enough, but he's going to get to go first because we have prepare. So we get to resolve before the enemy. So he's going to do his advance with a shock -2. So again, this is going to shock him. He can't avoid it. Even though he rolled a 2, he's still going to get reduced and have to retreat. I think he's going to have to roll still. I think the order stays with him. Now, he also gets to attack with a +1. He gets to go to line, and he's going to attack +1, but he's in melee now, so he has to attack one of the garrisons. So he needs an 8 or less. Actually, he needs an 11 or less. An 11/3 is what he really had, so he's going to get 1 hit, so we'll flip 1 garrison. And he's now in line, which helps a little bit, but not a ton. So that's the end of that order. Now they're going to get to go. So we'll do the melees first. He has an 8, gets a 7, so that's going to be a hit. He has a 6. Oh, wait a minute. The first one was for activation. So he's activated. He's probably going to hit anyway because he's still going to get an 8. And he got a 7 again. So that's, whoops, not that guy, this guy. All right, and now we'll do this guy. He needs a 6 because he gets the +3. And he gets it, and now he needs a 6 to hit and gets a 9, so no hit. So that's good. Fortification needs a 7 to activate, gets a 4. Needs a 4 to hit, gets a 7. So nothing. Now he'll go. He gets, if line, no roll, so he has to roll. He needs a 6. Gets a 7, so that does not work. So that's the end of that. All things considered, let me shake this up a little bit. All things considered, that turn went okay. Taking 1 hit there is not great, but it's not terrible either. We'll move these guys. Oh, well, no, they don't need to. There's no roll because they're still in column. He doesn't have to roll either, so he's going to move up here. And that is the end of that turn. We go to turn 2. We're going to do a prepare and a volley so that Kleber can attack these garrisons in the hopes of helping Bonn out. Now, they have 1, 4, 9, 13. We have 4, 11, 17, 25. 25 to 13. We're still not there. Now we'll draw for them. They get melee and closing. So we'll give them melee. They can only use 1, but I'll draw 2 anyway, just to be fair to them. So they have melee. But again, we get to go first because we have prepare. So if line, no roll, so we do need to roll. So he needs an 8. Gets a 4. Now he gets an attack at +4. So yeah, it was an 11. Would have been a hit. So that's going to eliminate this garrison. And that's the end of him. Now he'll go. He has a 5 for activation. Gets a 6. Does not activate. Fortification. Gets a 7. Does not activate. He needs a 3. Gets an 8. Does not activate. So they don't get to do anything. Okay, so now we'll have Bonfire. He needs a 6 for activation. Gets a 1. He needs a 4 to hit. Gets a 9. All right. Kleber's done. Manu will now we'll have him fire. So he has to roll because he's not in line. So we'll use, he needs an 8, gets a 7. Now he needs a 6 to hit. Come on, shoot. Rolled an 8. All right. He he will fire. Well, yeah, let's advance. So he marches, which will cause a shock check here. And yeah, it'll cause a shock check there. So he needs a 5 or less. Rolls a 7. So he is shocked, which will reduce him. He can't retreat, but he's reduced. And that ends the turn. And what we do now is, let's check our numbers again. We have 7, 11. They have 13, 17, 25. So still, it's 11. Not 11, they have 8. They have 8. 8 times 3 is 24. We have 7, 13, 17, 25. So that's a rout. So they are routed. Okay, so what happens when they rout is their garrison and fortification are removed. And the other unit has to take a retreat order, which means they would retreat off here. Right here, the no roll routed column retreat. So that's their order. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a prepare no roll for Dumas. And then I'm going to actually go in here and I can do whatever I want, actually. I could just do an advance. So we'll just do a push. So we get to go first because of this. He doesn't have to roll because he's in column. He advances, shock -4. That's going to be an automatic rout. He's going to be destroyed. This way he doesn't retreat and stay on the map, and they can use their supply point to rebuild him. I don't want that. So we're just going to eliminate him because we can, and that ends the battle. We win. We take Jaffa. There's going to be some repercussions from that, and we'll get to that here in a moment as soon as I move us back to the campaign map. And we're back on the campaign map. So I've got my forces here in Jaffa. I will put a French Eagle in here to show that we control it. That is going to bring these guys into play here in Mount Tabor. It's a pretty sizable stack of some decent troops, some not so decent troops, but they're Ottomans, they're not Mamelukes. So the next thing we need to worry about here is forced march. So I'm going to use a forced march with Desai here. So I have to roll twice, and if I roll a 1 either time, he gets reduced, or takes a hit rather. So that's a 7. And that's a 6, so he's good. So he's in El Arish now, which is going to allow me, now that we go to our French resupply, take some supply points here. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we get 5 plus 4 is 9. And we can't do any reinforcements. I don't think we have any more scouts we can buy. I have all 3 scout counters out already. And what we'll do now is we will simply do a refit, which costs us 2, I believe. Yes, we're going to refit over here to bring Bond back to full power because we're going to need him. Because I'm assuming that they will probably get a roll because we're going to have to break these up. And they'll get a roll that will bring them into, probably into Jaffa. So that's what we're going to do next. We go to the enemy orders phase. I'm just going to move this over here. So here's our enemy orders. Okay, so up here, you can see it says roll once for all forces in the same area. So in the previous campaign, I had to break them up, and I thought that's what I had to do this time, but I don't. So instead, we're going to roll just once for these guys, and they do get a +1 for the forces in the same area. And they get a 2 this time, which with the +1 becomes a 3, which is lucky for me because that's a hold, which means they just stay there. So that actually works out a little bit better for me because I'll be able to kind of move some forces in. So now we're going to go to the enemy resupply. So there we roll for each enemy held city. They are down to just Acre. Acre. Enemy forces never move out of Acre. Do not roll resupply for Acre unless there's a French force within 1 area of Acre, which we are. We're in Jaffa, which connects to Acre. So we're going to roll for Acre. And we got a 1. And a 1 is a garrison and a supply point. So they get a supply point. So they now have 2 fortifications, 3 garrisons, and Abercrombie, who cannot leave, never moves out of Acre. He never moves out of Acre. All right, first step here, move to our next turn, which is February of 1799. And we go to moves. Let's see what we've got here in terms of the Jaffa forces. So we've got 3, we've got an infantry 3, another infantry 3, cavalry 3-2, infantry 6, which is pretty good, cavalry 8, which is pretty good, infantry 2, cavalry 2. So that's a decent force. Not a great force, but I feel like I should, let's be aggressive, right? Seize the day. Bold. Let's be bold. So we're going to attack them. I'm going to move my meager 4 units here in there, and I have to roll. I need a 4 or less to avoid taking a hit. And we get a 5, so we made it. It was close, but we made it. Well, I've got 9 supply points, so with 9 supply points, it might not be terrible if I don't occupy all of these. So I'm going to actually move Caffarelli up, so we have to roll for him. And that's a 10, so that's good. And then we'll roll for Desai. He's going to go to Gaza. And we rolled an 8, which is also good. So we're going to lose occupation of El Arish. It just becomes unoccupied, which means they don't get any points for it, neither do we. So that's fine as far as I'm concerned. We'll leave Nautique here in Cairo just to keep that 1 point, I guess. There's no real reason to move him back to Alexandria yet. We've got 2 more turns before we have to start worrying about the other Ottoman forces. So let's move over to the battle map and take care of this fight here in Mount Tabor between this big Ottoman stack and my Napoleonic forces here. Okay, first thing we do is roll on Fog of War. They do not get a bonus. They only have 1 supply point. So we roll and get an 8. Transfer 2 supply points to the enemy. I'm going to spend a scout and re-roll this. That's the benefit of having a scout. You get a 4. Pay 2 supply points to add any 1 French recruit to 1 French occupied area. Interesting. I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend 2 supply points, which will leave me with 7. And I'm going to add a recruit. Now, I'm assuming that the Fog of War event overrides the scenario rule that you can't buy any reinforcements. So I'm going to put my French recruit here, and I'm going to put him in Jaffa. Development check. We do not have enough, neither do they. Determine battle plan qualities. 2 and 2. I could spend some more supplies. Right now I'm going to get, assuming I don't lose anything, well, I won't lose anything this turn. Except El Arish, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to get 4 more. So I think I am going to buy some battle plans. I'm going to buy 1. I'm going to buy 1 so that I have 3. That'll be useful. And that costs me 2 more supply points, leaving me with 5. All right. Now we move on to select insight counters. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to use an insight counter. I haven't used one yet this campaign. This is a fairly important battle. I'm going to use the front insight. Place up to 3 of your forces in French front. I'm just going to put this here so I'll remember to do it, although I won't forget. That gives me a little bit of an advantage here to start with. So we've now done that. We'll place our French forces. Now we place the enemy forces. What it is. All right, so now we are ready for insight activation, which I already did. I placed my 3 forces in the front. We'll do an engage. Nope, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do volley, and I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to do it with both these guys. They get close ranks, which ignores the first hit inflicted on the enemy. Put that there. And they get aimed, which is going to go to Jaffa. There. We'll start here. If line no roll, so they need a 5. They get a 5. So infantry attack, they can't, basically, so it doesn't even really matter. Now we'll roll for him. 5, so that's good. So they get, if 0, 2 apply, 1, 2, so he has to advance. And then here, needs a 6, gets a 5, so he also advances. And then Jezer needs a 6, gets a 10, he does not move. And we'll start with that Jezer cavalry, gets a 2, so he will advance. Aleppo, it's a 9, nothing. Damascus here, nothing. And this cavalry, nothing. Okay. So they do have this, so as soon as whatever the first hit is, they're going to ignore it. So I volley, we'll do Kleber first. If line, no roll, so we're just going to attack with a power of 11, which means it's going to hit, but because of this, they don't actually get hit. So now we go to Bon, and he has the same thing. It's going to be a hit. It's a 6. Now, the weaker of the two units, I think, would be, well, they're identical, I guess. But we'll assign it to Jerusalem. And now he'll just do well, maybe we should advance and have them do a shock attack. So we will advance him. Now we have to roll, and he needs an 8 or less. And we got a 1. So he's going to move up. Now he has to take actually he takes the shock for 2, gets a 10, so he fails. He's eliminated. And now we'll take Minot, who's in column, so he's allowed to advance, and he's going to move up. And that ends, we had 3 turns here, so now we check for route. We have 14, 28. They have 3, 6, 14, 20, 22, 24, 26. So no route. Advanced battle turn counter. Start over, inside activation. We don't have any. Select and place French battle plans. I think what we will do is we'll use an engage for these two again. And this time we'll advance. Now we draw for them. And we get wedge, which he won't be able to do. And then forward for Jaffa. Yeah, resolve enemy battle plans. So column, advance, attack. He can't advance because he's in melee, but he can attack with a +2. So that gives him a 5/4. And he rolls a 7, so that is not a hit. That may have been even if that was an activation roll, he still doesn't activate, so that's nothing. Now we have forward. If column, no roll, advance. So he has to take a shock check. Needs less than an 8. An 8 or less, I should say. So not shocked. Now he gets into line formation and attacks. And he has an 8/4, so this is bad. And he rolled a 1. So that's going to eliminate Dumas. And Napoleon is now left without cavalry except for the recruit cavalry that's sitting in Alexandria, which is not good. All right, so we have Jezer here. He needs a 6 to activate. Gets a 2, so he advances. This goes away. Aleppo needs a 3. No. Damascus needs a 6. Got it. And the other Aleppo needs a 4. Got it. All right. Now we do ours. So if column, no roll, so we have to roll. Needs an 8, gets a 4. So they will advance. Now this says 6. We're allowed to both have 6. So it's going to get a little crowded in here probably. But this is going to be a pretty pitched battle, I think. So he advances shock -2. So the lowest unit here is Jaffa. So he needs to roll a 1 and roll the 10. So he gets reduced and has to retreat. Then he gets to attack with a +1/1, so it's an 8/1. So if we roll a 1, it's 2 hits. If we roll anything 8 or less, that's not a 1, it's 1 hit. All right, well, now we'll do the engage for Bon. So we have to roll an 8 or less. Okay, so he activates and moves up. Shock -2. Now the lowest ranked unit is this guy. So he needs a 1, 2. So he gets reduced, which removes him actually. And now he gets to attack with a +1/1. So that's 1 hit. And it gets applied to Jezer, I believe. Is the weaker of the 2 units. That's the end of that. Manu gets to attack. We activate him with an 8 or less. Gets a 4. Needs a 6 to hit. Gets a 3. Jezer is eliminated. And now we go to the last turn. We are down to 20. They have 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So no route. We've already advanced the turn counter. We select our French battle plans. Let's do volley for these 2 guys. And that's it. Now for them, melee, which he's already in melee. And wheel. We'll start with them. He's got melee. So flying, no roll, 1 advance, can't do it. Infantry attack, can't do it. Attack. So he's going to attack. He needs an 8/4. And he rolled an 8. So we'll flip Bon. And that's done. We'll go here. He's got an advance. So he advances, goes to line. We have to do a shock check here. And he's good. Now this guy rolls, needs a 6, gets a 9. This is done. Needs a 4, gets a 9. Needs a 3, gets a 4. All right. So now we have 2 attack, well, an attack with a +4, which is going to succeed. It's a 5, so this guy is dead. Now Bon has to attack, needs a 4, gets a 1. So he doesn't have a reduced side, so he just gets eliminated. And we'll move him up. It doesn't matter because that's the end. We go to the withdrawal check. So we roll. We get a 9, which is in camp. In camp just means that we move everybody back to the campaign map, and we don't start another battle in this step, which means we don't just rejoin, because that would be rejoin. It does mean that if I use forced march to move somebody else in there, I could actually re-trigger a battle. So we're going to remove that, and I'm going to move all these guys over to the campaign map. And we're back on the campaign map. So here I have 2 units, Caffarelli and this recruit unit. And I think if I force march them into Mount Tabor, we would trigger another battle with these guys. So let's do that. So I need to roll for a forced march because I'm doing it. We have to roll a... maybe I'll just move Caffarelli. So we'll leave the recruit there for that supply point. But we're going to move Caffarelli, which means I need to roll not a 1. And we have to roll twice. And an 8 and a 10 means no. So he moves in there. We trigger another battle. Move this off. Let's roll for Fog of War. It's a 10. Add 1 enemy reinforcement to the battle. We don't want that. So we're going to spend another scout and re-roll. 7. Transfer 2 of the enemy supply points to you. Well, they only have 1, but I'll take it. And it is a 5-turn battle, which is plenty of time. Development check. They have 2, 4, 6. They have 6. We have 2, 8, 15, 19. Well, what do you know? That is enough. 2, 8, 12, 19, 2, 4, 6. They fail the envelopment check, which means they are killed off. That completes the French turn. So we go to the, well, actually it doesn't. We have to do the resupply. So we have 6 currently because we stole 1 from them. And we gain 1 for each French-held city. So we have 1, 2. We don't have El Arish because I abandoned it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get 4, which gives us 10. So we have 10. I'm going to spend 2 to refit our force of Bond's force here to go back to full strength. And that leaves us with 8. Now we go to the enemy. So the enemy orders, we don't have any forces to roll for because Abercrombie does not move. Then we do enemy resupply. So we do have to roll for Accra. We'll bring this in. And we will roll for Accra. And they get a 7. And a 7 is 1 reinforcement and 1 supply point. Okay. So they're going to get a supply point. And they get a recruit cavalry, which I guess goes in Accra. And that ends their turn. So now we would advance turn counter to March of 1799. And moves. Well, I think you know what I'm going to do here. There's really only one move left, and that's to attack these guys. So we now have 4 units in our stack. Since we lost Dumas, we're really left with 4. So I have to roll higher than a 4, or lower than a 4. No, higher than a 4. Woo! If the roll is equal to or less than the number of French forces you moved, inflict 1 hit. It's a 6, so that's not, obviously. So I'm going to move this up here because we're going to move to the battle board here, because these guys roll for Fog of War. We get a 10. They have only 1 point, so they don't get to change anything. Add an enemy reinforcement. No thanks. I'll spend my last scout to avoid that. And we'll roll again. And we get a 1. If Napoleon's not present, select 1 insight. Well, that's not useful. So we get a 2-turn battle. So envelopment check. I know we don't have enough for this. So they have 4, 8, and then 3 garrisons is 15. That's 23. Then they have Abercrombie and a recruit that add 7 more. So they have 15 plus 8 is 23, 28, 30. They have 30. We have 7, 13, 22. So no envelopment. You get 2, they get 2. Not changing that. Place French forces. Actually, you know what? I don't want to get any shock. So like insta loss for shock here. So, which I think I've been screwing up, to be honest, now that I think about it. Like they have had forces that are in column that would automatically lose, and I've forgotten to do that. So I'm going to give a flank order to 2. We'll do these 2. So Bond and Kleber will both get a flank order, and these guys will just move up. Now we'll draw for them. They have 2 units. They get 2 orders, and we get assault and wheel. Okay, so we start off. These 3 can't do anything. Assault, if cavalry, no roll, so we do have to roll. They need a 5 or less, get a 9, so that is nothing. Cavalry advance, they're not cavalry. We do need to roll a 6 or less. Roll the 5. So advance, line, infantry attack, they can't. But that does put them in a position where they will be able to attack. Now we go to us, flank, only 2. They're 2 away. If column, no roll. So we do have to roll, so we need an 8. Get a 1, so he gets to go advance. Advance, shock -3, which means Abercrombie needs a 2. And gets a 2. Figures. Now attack, so he has a 7. Gets a 2, so Abercrombie takes a hit. Now Bond will do the same thing, so we need an 8 or less again, get a 5, so he goes advance, advance, another shock check. This time he can't pass because his numbers are 3, so that would reduce him again and eliminate him. Now he can attack, and he will attack our recruit here. He has a 7 and rolled a 2, and I just realized I forgot to do the 2 fortifications. We'll do that in a moment. The 2's a hit, so he's going to eliminate this guy. And now let me roll for the fortifications. So they would have attacked here, and the 2 they would have ended up attacking would be these guys anyway. So first they need a 4 for activation. The first one does not get it. The second one does. And he gets a hit, so that hit would be applied to Caffarelli. Okay, so that is the end of that turn. Oh, I wanted to advance these guys, so let me do that. So he needs an 8, gets it. He needs a 4, does not get it. Okay, and there's still no route. We've got 21, they have 15, and 8 is 23. It's pretty even. So advanced battle turn, we did that. No insight, select and place French battle plans. We're going to do a volley for both of these guys, I think. Actually, no. We're going to advance. We'll do engage for both. They'll both get engage. Let's see if we can damage these garrisons, because we're probably not going to be, well, we're certainly not going to be able to beat them. We have to hope that in the withdraw stage we roll an enemy retreat. We don't need to give them orders. They can't have orders. So we're just going to roll. So he needs a 5, gets a 3. 6 is too high. Gets a 4. 5. So Bond gets a hit. Now this guy gets a 1, so he's activated. And a 10, so no hit. Now the cannon. 8 is no hit. Second cannon. 9, not activated. Okay, so now if column no rolls, we have to roll. We need an 8, got a 3. So advance, shock -2, which means they need a 3 or less. Rolls a 4. So he gets reduced. Then they're in line already. Attack +1, +1, so an 8/1 gets an 8. So that's going to eliminate the garrison, 1 garrison. Now we roll for Bond. He needs a 6, gets a 5, so he can advance. So the shock, he passes the shock. Now we roll. We need a 4 for a hit. Actually, we needed a 5 because of the +1. So that is a hit. So at least he got a hit on him. That takes that one. Now we roll here. We have to roll for activation. Got it. Advance. Advance. Shock -3. So he's going to, I mean, I'll roll it, but it doesn't matter because he fails automatically. And now he can attack. We need a 6 or less. And get a 7, so the attack failed. And then Caffarelli, let's see if we can advance him. Need a 4 or less. Get a 1, so he can move up 1. Not that it matters. And that is the end of the battle. So we go to our withdrawal check. And a 5 is an enemy retreat. So that means these guys go away. And we have won the battle. So we'll take this away. And we have forced march. So I can start moving people back. So maybe I should do that. So we'll do decide. So I have to roll 1, and I have to roll twice. Higher than a 1. 6 is good. 5 is good. So he's going to go to El Arish, which is going to give us control of it again. And we'll move this recruit to Gaza. And he rolled a 3, so that's good. And a 6, also good. So that removes our control of Jaffa for now. Now we're going to move Napoleon's forces. And we have 4, so we have to roll less than a 4. I mean higher than a 4, and that's a 2. And I need to roll again. And a 10. So we took 1 hit, so I'm going to apply that to Manu, I guess. And move to Jaffa. And we regain control there. Accra is uncontrolled right now. That is the end of that turn. So that's the end of the turn. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 supply, which gives us now 13. And so I'm going to spend 6 of those to bring these guys back to full strength. And that costs me 6. So we end up with 7 left. Enemy has 1. So enemy orders, there aren't any. They don't have any units. They don't control any cities, so they don't do anything in this turn, which means we move to the next turn, which is April. And we'll move. So we're going to move Desai to Bitter Lake. You have to roll. It's a 2. Good. Then we'll move our recruit here to El Arish. And he's good as well. And then we'll move Napoleon's forces from Jaffa to Gaza. Rolled a 10, so that's good as well. Only have to roll once, and it's not forced march. No battles to resolve, so we move. Actually, let me move Nortique back to Alexandria. Okay, so that works as well. So we lose Cairo. Now we go to forced march. So we're going to move Desai back to Cairo. He got a 3, and we have to roll twice, and he got a 1. All right, but he does get to move here. Now we'll roll for our recruit. Oh, wait. He's here. We'll move this guy out of El Arish. 7, 3. So he's going to Bitter Lake. And now we're going to move Napoleon's forces from here. 7 and 7. So that worked. So he's there, and we get 3 supply. But I'm going to spend 2 to let Desai recover. So we had 10. That leaves us with 7. Yeah, so basically it doesn't change. I think I'm going to buy a scout as well. So we're going to buy 1 scout, which will cost us 2, and that'll leave us with 5. And the French again, the enemy again has no turn, so now we move to May. So now that we're in May, we have a special rule here. Starting in May 1799, roll for arrival each turn until they arrive. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, they arrive on this turn. It's a 3, so they do not arrive, which is good. It gives me more time to get my men closer. We advanced our turn counter. Now we go to Desai. We're going to move him back into Alexandria. We got a 9, so that's good. So he's in safely. We'll move our recruit to Cairo. And he's there safely. Now we'll take Napoleon's forces, move them to Bitter Lake, which costs 4. And that's good. Or we needed to roll doesn't cost anything. We had to roll higher than a 4. We'll go to forced march, and I'm going to move Napoleon's forces into Cairo, which again, we need to roll less than a 4. We rolled a 4, or higher than a 4. I keep saying less. It's higher than a 4, or less is a hit. So he takes a hit. And so we'll reduce Caffarelli. Actually, I'm not going to bother because I'm going to use my resupply, which would be 2 points. I'll spend the 2 to keep Caffarelli at full strength, and we're still at 5. So that ends that turn, and we go to June. And in June, we need to roll a 1 to 4 would mean they arrive. Less than 4 means they do not. It is a 6, so they do not, which allows me then to move Napoleon's forces. I'm going to leave the recruit here for that extra supply point and attempt to move Napoleon's 4 forces in here. And we rolled an 8, so he makes it. So we keep that. We don't have any forced marches. Our resupply will give us 2 supply points, which I'm going to spend on a scout. So we'll stay at 5. So now we go to July. And we roll, and we get a 10, which means they don't arrive this turn either. We go to August. They're guaranteed to arrive in August. I do get 2 additional supply points, so I will spend those again on a scout. That way I have multiple chances to get a good fog of war result because we are going to have a fight. So arriving now is Mustafa with 6, 11, 16, 19, 22, 27, and 6 divisions. All right, so we got a fight to resolve here. All right, let's roll for fog of war. It's a 4. Pay 2 supply points to add any 1 French recruit. It's only a 3-turn battle. Well, I'm not spending supply points, that's for sure. 3-turn battle. That's rough. Well, it's a little risky to spend a scout here, but we're going to do it. I'd like to get a 4 or 5-turn battle. We get a 2. You gain 2 supply points, and again, it's a 3-turn battle. Well, I'll take the 2 supply points, I guess. Not that they do me any good right now. You know what? I think the gods are telling me we want to have a 3-turn battle. The gods of the dice have spoken. Envelopment check. So I just did this for them. And they have 5, 8, 11, 16, 10, 16, 19, 22, 27. And we have a lot. Probably not enough for an envelopment. 7, 13, 20, 22, 28, 33, 34, 36, 38, 43. So not enough for an envelopment. Battle plan quantities, we have 2, they have 2. I'm going to pay 5 supply points and buy 2 more so that I have 4. Select insight counters. I think I'd rather have 4 orders or 4 battle plans, I think, than insight. Although I could buy an insight and use duration. That would be a good one to have, because then I can make it a 4-turn battle. Because my fear is we get to the end and I roll a French retreat, which would give them Alexandria and lose me the campaign. That's my fear. So I am going to spend 1, and we'll go to 3 battle plans. And we'll buy the duration, and I'm going to make this a 4-turn battle. So that will be me spending my insight activation. Here, we'll just put that there for the moment. Now we have to place our forces. We're ready to roll here. Select and place French battle plans. So we will give a flank to these 2. And we will give a charge to our 1 lone cavalry, who I fully expect to get killed at some point in this. So that's 3. Now we'll draw for them, and we'll give them to this one and this one. So wedge and well struck. All enemies get a +3/+0 when attacking. That's great. All right. So we'll start with them. Column. He has to roll for activation, so he needs a 4. Does not get it. So he needs a 3. gets it, so he gets to advance. Now he needs a 3, does not get it. He needs a 5, does not get it. He needs a 6, does get it. And that means that this guy can't do anything because he can't advance. So they don't get any attacks, so that goes away. That worked out okay for me. All right, so we'll start with Manu. We have to roll. He needs an 8. Got it. Advance, advance. Shock -3, which means he's going to lose that. He rolled a 10, so he's going to lose it anyway. So he would get reduced and have to retreat, but he can't because it's full, so he gets eliminated. Now it says only 2, so I think that means he can't do anything. So we're going to remove this. Now I can give Kleber, or I'm going to roll him to see if we can just move him forward 1, because I think that, well, he failed it anyway. Now Kleber needs an 8 or less. Oh, good Lord. All right, great. Let's do this guy. Charge. Okay, so he needs a 5 and rolls a 9. So this is going really well. He needs an 8, gets a 10. Come on, seriously? Needs a 4, gets an 8, needs a 3, gets a 1. Finally, somebody who can move up. And that's all that can move up, so we're basically done again. Man, that was terrible. All right, so we go to 3. Now the balance of power is 10, 18, 24. We've got 6, 11, 18, 20, 27, 29, 34, 35, 43. So no envelopment. We move to that. No insight. Select and place French battle plans. No, we'll give him a volley order. We'll give these two a flank order so they can try to advance up there. And now we draw for them. They get melee, and they get aimed. All right, so he needs a 4 because he's not in line. He gets a 10, so nope. Now he needs a 6. He gets a 10. If line no roll, he has to roll. He needs a 3 and gets a 3. So he gets to attack +2/+2. So he needs a 5/4. 4 would be 2 hits, which would be terrible for me. 6. Whew. All right. Now this guy needs a 5. Gets an 8. And that guy can't do anything because this is full. So we got a volley here with a +4 attack, which means it's a 10. So he's going to automatically hit. And the weakest unit is this guy right here. So he's going to be eliminated because he does not have a reduced step. Cavalry just gets eliminated. So that worked out. Now, yeah, this did say line no roll, by the way. So I didn't have to roll for activation there. Now flank. So we'll start with Kleber, needs an 8. And gets an 8, thank you. 1, 2, and now he can attack. So he's got a 7. Gets a 1. So the weakest one now, I guess, is probably this guy. So we'll flip him over. And now we'll do the same for Bond, needs an 8. Gets a 9. Well, that's... actually, I just realized I could not do that because he was more than 2 away. So we're just going to move him up, and with Bond, I'm going to re-roll it. I'm going to move him up. This recruit needs a 3, gets a 5, so he can't move. This guy needs a 5, gets a 1, he can move up. Cavalry can advance 2. So he's going to go there. Rainier needs an 8, gets a 6, so he can move up. Notique needs a 4, so he's staying put. Caffarelli needs a 6, he's staying put. And Desai needs an 8, and he moves up. All right. Now we go to 2 turns. Again, checking the totals. They still have 21. We have 13, 20. Well, we have 43, so we know it's not 3 times. French battle plans. Let's see. This time we'll give a flank to these 2. We'll give a charge to our recruit cavalry. Mainly for the shock value, because he's got a to hit number of 2, which is terrible. For them, we get, again, close ranks, which sucks, and melee. All right, so let's start her up. They need a 4, gets a 3, so he does get to do it. Advance, so we take a shock check. All right, so now he attacks, and he fails, and we attack again, we fail again, and he goes to line. This guy needs a 6, gets a 7, that one needs a 5, gets a 3, so he's going to, since we're 0-1, he's going to attack. So he goes to line and then attacks. So he needs a 5, or 3 would be 2 hits. 5, 1 hit. And now this guy needs a 7 and gets a 2, so he gets to move up. All right. Now we'll fire here. He needs a 3 or less. Gets an 8, so nothing. Now we'll do Kleber. All right. So advance. Now we get a shock check. Needs a 5 or less, passes it. Now he'll do his attack. We're in melee, so he gets a +3. Which with the 7 + 3 is 10, so that does hit. Now we'll do Bond. He needs an 8. Great. Now we'll try our charge. So roll. We get a 5, so that works. So he advances. Shock -3 means he's going to be eliminated. Advance again. Shock -3. And that would be this guy, I guess. So he needs a 2 or less. So he gets a loss and has to retreat. And now we get an attack. And an 8 is not going to be good enough. All right. Oh, shoot. Did I forget to do this? I think I did. And now I don't remember what it would have been. I'll just put him back in here. He wasn't the first one hit, but I forgot to do it. So that's the best I can do. With 3 guys here, he's pretty much guaranteed to be ripped apart here. So that's that. We'll see if we can move Bond up, and we can. And we'll try to move Rainier up, and we can. We'll try to move. Oh, actually, with this, they don't have to roll. I forgot about that. If they're in this column, they don't have to roll. March. If column, no roll. He does need to roll, and he doesn't get it. So I've been screwing up again. I forget stuff. It's just the nature of the beast, I guess. So they're down to, 16? And we have 43 still, I think. No. 2, 9, 16, 19, 24, 30, 35, 36, 38, 40. 40 to 16 is not 3 times, so we do go to turn 1. I need to kill somebody this turn. All right, French battle plans. Volley for Kleber and... Actually, we'll do it for Kleber and Bonn. We'll give the Psy an engage order. Now we'll draw theirs. They get officers, so they get a +3 on their activation rolls. They get assault. which is going to let them advance. That is going to work out for them. So they get to go first. So if assault, if cavalry no roll, so he gets to advance. And he's going to go to line, but first we have to do the shock check. And that's going to eliminate Minot. And then he goes to line and attacks. And he rolled an 8, which is too high. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. Because that first number becomes a 9. So we'll reduce Kleber. Okay, so volley, if line, no roll. Oh, wait, what am I doing? I got other guys here, so this is gone. Activation, he needs a 9 or less, so he's going to get that, of course. No, he rolled a 10. He needs an 8 and rolled a 1. So he's activated. So combat, he's going to attack here. So it's melee, so it's an 8-6. It's a 4, so this guy is eliminated. Okay, so now we have our volley. So it doesn't even well, I'm going to attack here first because he's going to get the +3. So it's a 7/3 attacking Mustafa here. And it's a 1, so he's eliminated. Now I'll use the volley for Bon to attack here with a +4, which is going to be an 11, so it's an automatic hit. And the weakest one, I'm going to say, is this guy, because I break ties with the activation number. He has the higher activation number. That's just how I've been doing it. So those two are done. Now we'll do Desai. If column no roll, so he gets to advance, go to line, and attack with a +1. So he needs a 7, and if he rolls a 1, that would be 2 hits. It's a 6, so that's 1 hit. And he can advance, but not do anything else. He can advance, he can advance. I'll roll here for him. None of this really matters, but because we're at the last turn. This is the last turn. They're pretty much decimated. I have to hope for a rejoin or an enemy retreat. Anything but a 6 to 8 will do it for me. Yeah, this sucks. This really sucks. So I got to roll here, and we need a 1 through 5, basically. 1 through 5. Come on, baby. 5. Thank God. All right. So they retreat, which means they would. It doesn't even matter. They could just go to Dominetta. Enemy retreat. 1 randomly selected enemy controlled or uncontrolled area. So actually, he just goes to Dominetta because he can't go here to Cairo because we control it. So he goes to Dominetta, but this is the last turn, so we have to score victory now. So we did hold Alexandria, thankfully. Now, play through all campaign turns, which we did. Score 3 victory points. Actually, well, I guess I should technically roll for him, or I could move. It would be an envelopment. I'm not going to bother because it's an envelopment, so it doesn't even matter. I'm not going to bother with that. We're just going to score up our victory here. Play through all campaign turns, score 3 victory points for each French force that survives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 27. If you also hold Accra, which I do, well, I don't actually. So I got 27. So superior would be 30 or more. Historical would be 29 to 17. So I got the historical result. Not terrible. 27 victory points. That's a pretty good score. I'll take it. So yeah, that ends this campaign. So thank you for watching. I'm not going to belabor the point here. If I had managed to hold on to 1 more unit, I would have scored a superior victory, or if I had just left somebody in Accra. I neglected to remember that I got 15 victory points if I had left somebody in Accra, and I probably would have. But c'est la vie. That's how it goes. I forgot. I suffer the consequences. So thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, etc., etc. This has been a long one, so I'm just going to sign off now. My name's Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered, and until next time, as always, happy gaming.